Animal Farm by George Orwell. A powerful story in simple words. Animal Farm is a short novel written by George Orwell and first published in 1945. It is one of the most famous political stories in English literature. Although it is written like a fairy tale about animals on a farm, the book has a much deeper meaning. Orwell used this story to talk about real human history, politics, and the dangers of power. A story that looks simple. At first glance, Animal Farm seems like a children's story. The characters are animals, pigs, horses, sheep, and other farm animals. They talk, think, and even read. The story is set on a farm in the countryside, and the language Orwell uses is very clear and simple. Because of this, many readers are surprised to learn that Animal Farm is actually a political allegory. An allegory is a story where fictional characters and events represent real ideas or people. In Animal Farm, each animal or group of animals stands for something about society, government, or human nature. The story tells us more than just what happens on the farm. It shows how power can change people, or animals, how ideas can be used to control others, and how some promises are not always kept. A book written after war. To understand Animal Farm, it helps to know when and why George Orwell wrote it. Orwell was born in 1903 and saw many changes in the world during his lifetime. He fought in the Spanish Civil War and was very interested in politics. He believed strongly in fairness and truth, and he did not like lies used by governments to control people. Orwell wrote Animal Farm during World War II, at a time when many countries were fighting against dictatorships. He wanted to warn readers about the danger of political systems that seem good at first, but later become unfair or cruel. The book was not easy to publish at the time because many people did not want to hear this message. However, after the war ended, the book became very popular, and it is still read all over the world today. A warning about power. One of the most important ideas in Animal Farm is that power can be dangerous. When a group of animals takes over the farm, they have a dream of creating a better life. At first, their ideas are full of hope. They believe that by working together, they can all live equally and happily. But things slowly begin to change. Some animals start to take more control than others. They make new rules, change old ones, and sometimes use tricks to stay in charge. Orwell shows how power, when it is not shared fairly, can become a problem. Those in power may start to think they are better than others, and they may do things to protect their position, even if it hurts the group. This idea is very powerful because it is true not only on the farm, but also in real life. In history, many leaders began with good intentions, but became selfish or cruel once they had power. Orwell uses the animals to show how this happens step by step, often without being noticed right away. Language as a tool. Another key idea in Animal Farm is how language can be used to control people. The animals on the farm use slogans, songs, and speeches to share their ideas. At first, these words are meant to bring the animals together, but later the same words are changed or used to confuse them. Orwell shows how powerful language can be. When people, or animals, hear the same message again and again, they may start to believe it, even if it's not true. The book teaches readers to think carefully about what they hear and read, and not to accept everything without asking questions. This message is especially important in today's world, where we see so much information in the news and on social media. Animal Farm reminds us to think for ourselves and not to let others decide the truth for us. A book for all ages. Even though Animal Farm was written many years ago, its lessons are still important today. The book is short, usually less than 120 pages, and the language is easy to understand. But the ideas in the book are deep, and each time you read it, you may discover something new. Teachers often use Animal Farm in schools to help students think about history, politics, and the way society works. The story also helps readers understand how to protect their freedom and their rights. Orwell's goal was not just to tell a good story, but to make readers think, and he succeeded. George Orwell's message. George Orwell once said that all his writing was against lies, cruelty, and unfairness. In Animal Farm, he shows how easily people can be fooled when they stop thinking for themselves. He also shows how good ideas can lead to moral decay when they are not used with care and honesty. Orwell believed that stories can be powerful tools for change. By using animals instead of people, he made the story easier to read, but not less serious. The book is not about animals. It is about us, about the choices we make, the leaders we follow, and the importance of truth. Final thoughts. Animal Farm is more than just a story about animals on a farm. It is a clever and important book that helps us understand the world around us. It teaches us to ask questions, to stay informed, and to care about justice and equality. Even though it is short and simple on the surface, it has deep meaning and continues to be read and discussed all over the world. Whether you are reading it for school, for fun, or to improve your English, Animal Farm is a book that stays with you. It is a warning, a lesson, and a story all in one. And it reminds us that we must always be careful with power, words, and promises.